What's up? Happy Tuesday. Condolences to the Jesse Jackson family. Yep. Well, let's check this out. Got some clips to play for you guys.
Bring forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment, for his success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. Beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who's an effective builder of people. Last year he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump. Praying forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment, for his success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. Beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better.
How you doing?
And so aside from all of his style and his
Shit, chilling, man. Chilling. Salty, everybody.
Who's an effective builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump.
Condolences to the Jesse Jackson family. I'm showing this video because Jesse and Trump was cool back in the day. What happened after all that? I guess he switched sides from being Democrat to Republican. But let's continue.
For a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump. Praying forth a friend who has in that his social style is of such.
What type of racism is this?
I now want to bring forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment, for his success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. Beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to rest to make things better. And so aside from all of style and his pizzazz, he is a serious person who is an effective builder of building for the builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
Well, it is an honor to be here, and I was with Jesse last year, and we had a lot of fun, and it was a little different. Jesse started off by saying, most of the wealth in this country is in the hands of a few. And I thought to myself, is that a bad thing? What's wrong with that, Jesse? But he did have an expression last year, and I was just telling Roger, he had an expression last year, the wall on wall must fall. And you haven't used it today, and I'm very disappointed in this, Jesse, because I thought it was a great expression. And I heard the expression about 14 times, and then he came to me at the end of the session.
All right, catch you later, Salty, man. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for always coming in the chat.
In your building,
blessings to you, man. Thank you.
Because the wall on wall will fall. And I said, it's okay,
Thank
Jesse.
you,
I'll make a good deal with you. I'll get you some space. You'll pay about $40 a foot. And he said, no. I don't want to pay 40. I said, how about 30? No. It was the cheapest deal I ever made in the history of 40 Wall Street. Is that right? He got it for nothing. He's a very tough negotiator. We know that, right? Nah, he's a terrific guy. We love him, and I'm here for him. And the snow came, and I said, gee, nobody's going to show up, and look at this place. It's packed. Well, I just say a few words. I mean, Wall Street and New York City and this whole region is doing unbelievably well. I'm building a job on the west side, which is the largest job ever approved by the New York City Planning Commission. You see it going up along the West Side Highway. It's almost 10 million square feet. It's 18 buildings, and it's really going to be something. I will tell you, a large percentage of the people, and especially in construction, that are building these great jobs are Black and minorities, and I'm very proud of it. We have close to 25%, and I think the number's going up. And they do a great job. There are no better builders than we have in New York, and a big percentage of that is Black and minority folks. So I just want to thank everybody in the room for being here. I look forward to some questions, and then I don't know how we're ever going to leave this building today, because if you look outside, it is terrible, but we'll figure a way. There's always a way. And thank you, Jesse, and congratulations.
And with all of that wealth, Trump wants a free ticket to the fair tonight.
You can't make this up. Now, did you catch the part when Reverend Jesse Jackson said that as a Black man, when he first ran for president, Donald Trump was one of the only people who came in support of his campaign? When other people thought it was laughable, Donald Trump was there. Exactly. But the fake news media today is trying to tell you and I that this man here has always hated Black people and minority, that he's a racist. You can't make this up. I found this video online and I had to share it. You let me know what you think about this in the comment section. God bless you and your family. God bless Donald Trump. Catch you on the next one. Wow.
Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
Right person, 100%. Yeah, for me, and you guys can let me know if you agree, but for me, the fact that they're going after Trump so much lets me know I picked the right person. They haven't gone after serial killers this much, let alone just a guy who wants to make the country better.
That's all.
I picked the right person, 100%.
Donald Trump said this, and I quote, "This thing of treating Christians as second-class citizens is going to stop when I get in office day one." But he's Satan because he's trying to protect your behind? But you so caught up in black race that you can't recognize this man is trying to help the Christian race? That's what you're trying to tell me? Let me tell you something. When I knew this man was being used by God, in his first term, I don't know if you remember this, the witches, the warlocks, and the abortionists all came together. And this is what they said, I quote, "We are asking everyone in the United States to join us on Facebook Live as we cast curses on the President of the United States and all who support him."
That's crazy.
It was a Facebook Live. It was nationwide. Told my wife, I said, let's see how stupid the preachers are on this one. Because the last time I checked, Jesus said Satan will never attack his own.
Yeah, Matthew chapter
That's what
5,
Jesus
verse
said.
44.
And Jesus ain't never wrong. So if he said Satan will never cast out Satan, he will never attack his own, and then the people who represent Satan are attacking Trump, then somewhere you got to ask the question is, well, maybe this Trump man is not of Satan.
Oh my gosh.
See, but they don't think like that. They don't know how to think. They just go with their emotions, and they go with their arrogance and their pride. Everybody thinks that they know what they're talking about.
You know,
Amazing. Amazing. I just wanted to show that with you guys, because, yeah, we got to do better, people. Switch it up. 5 minutes ago, this happened. Right, everybody from the early 2000s and 80s and 90s, all about Trump, rap music. They want to be like Trump. They want the Trump money. 2015, he said he want to become a Republican president. Now he's a racist. Crazy. But that switches it up to the Black conservative perspective. Some update. What up, MTG? Good morning. Well,
so what I can say
good
right
evening.
now
Good
that
evening,
we have
MTG.
identified
Good
the
evening.
person, the suspect, by a birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. We have also learned that the person does go by the name of Roberta, also uses the last name of Esposito. But again, that will be all confirmed throughout the course of the investigation as to their status that really doesn't have anything to do with the investigation. 1969 he was born. Family. And what is that now?
She described that shooting suspect as her father. She came out of the police department behind me here in tears after presumably being interviewed by police.
My father was a shooter.
What happened?
He shot my family. And
Finna see now. It's the first time seeing this video.
Was there a family argument?
he has mental health issues.
So yes, she goes on to describe those mental health issues a little bit more. She says that he had been struggling with mental health for quite some time. She said, quote, he was very sick.
Boy. So we got to talk about another tragic story that unfortunately the mainstream liberal media is going to avoid talking about in a real way. Now, what do I mean by talk about in a real way? Well, what I mean is that when it comes to mass shooters that fit the narrative, the mainstream liberal media will claim that, hey, we need to have a conversation about a pattern that we're seeing when it comes to white male Trump supporting Christian straight men committing mass shootings, right? This is what they would say, right?
That's what they would say, right.
But
But that's not the case.
They don't have a real conversation.
All these trans people
about
shooting up
the
these
mass
churches.
and
They're taking these
pattern
medicines
that
and
we're seeing
blockers and they
over
tweaking.
again about who is committing these mass shootings, and most importantly,
Crazy.
why are these individuals committing more and more mass shootings? No, they sweep it under the rug. They don't even want to acknowledge the reality of who is shooting.
Right.
And in this case, you got to talk about a mass shooting. that
Thank you.
happened At an ice rink in Rhode Island, and the shooter just happens to be trans.
What's up, Jack? Yep, I'm tap dancing. Thank you, Sam. Sambo? Yeah, I'm tap dancing. Thank you.
Mass shooting here.
Thank you for being in the channel.
This is Robert. This is also Robert.
Wow.
Very interesting character. And the laugh is up.
So, Jack, is that a woman right there, Jack? In the chat? They say I'm tap dancing Sambo channel. Is that a woman or a man?
already in full-blown cope and seed mode over the fact that, once again, we have a mass shooting that was hit by somebody who does not fit the narrative that the left loves when these type of mass shootings happen. Okay, and I want to play some clips of the cope from the left, and then we're going to get into what happened here and some possible motivations, because leftists are already trying to play these voodoo mind games, right? These tricks, claiming that this individual was a Trump supporter. And to be honest with you, this person's alleged ex account.
Have I seen England Party? Nope, I have not checked that out.
However, this person being a Trump supporter doesn't really have that much to
America
do with
first.
why this was done, right? Or why this happened. They're going to ignore the real motivations, right? And just focus on political association, even though this wasn't really political, right? Not in the way that the left is trying to frame it. So anyways, I want to go ahead and play the cope here and then get into what really happened in the motivations. Take a look.
Well, I wasn't expecting this one, let me tell you. If you haven't heard yet, there was a shooting up in Rhode Island at a high school hockey match, like inside the rink, or not inside the rink, but inside the stands. There was a shooting, killed 2 people, injured 4, I think is what it ended up being. And the person who did the shooting was a trans woman Trump supporter. Let's get into it. I want to be very clear. I'm not putting this video out to shit on trans people, okay?
Yes, you is.
It out because I know it.
Yes, you is. That's why I say he's a Trump supporter. They got nothing to do with that.
Trump supporters are going to try to say that she was not a Trump supporter, and she absolutely
And
was.
if they is, so what?
Before she transitioned,
They bogus.
her name was Robert Dorgan.
His name. That's the problem now. Y'all cater to the bullshit. That is a grown-ass man. Ain't no word a word woman should be mentioned to about this guy. Just say his name. He's not a woman. Stop it.
Positioned, I guess, is what happened. She went by Roberta Esposito. Here's the receipts. This is the Twitter account.
They always say that when somebody shoot up a church, they trend. Oh, it's a right winger. No.
Esposito, okay, Rhode Island, USA. You can see it right there. Here's a tweet from her from what? Right after the election. Trans my whole life. Post operation. Back Trump 100%. Here's a picture of Roberta Esposito. Here's a couple tweets where Roberta is sticking up for trans people against conservatives. STFU, Alex, don't be so butthurt over somebody different. Then wonder why trans people go effing berserk. Here's another one where she's replying to Kevin Sorbo. Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk. So the daughter came out of the police station just a few hours ago and told the news that her dad had been mentally ill for a long time and he got really bad here recently, and that he killed her family. He didn't say that. She didn't say anything else, like to elaborate on what exactly happened. So I don't really know 100% what they did. I think maybe
so why are you talking?
Supporting family, butting heads over the dad transitioning into a woman. She was sticking up on Twitter for trans people in the comments of Alex Jones and Kevin Sorbo. So I can see that, but I don't know that for 100% fact. But what I do know is that it was a Trump supporting trans woman.
Social media profiles. They say he also went by Roberta, so Roberta Dorgan. And sources tell Fox he was dressed in women's clothing when he showed up to his son's hockey game yesterday afternoon. These pictures you're looking at are from months ago, Bill, but witnesses and people we've talked to who were at this hockey game say that this was something that happened pretty often where he would show up in women's clothing. So according to documents obtained by our affiliate WPRI, Dorgan had a history of family disputes. So let's get into them. Some involving conflict over his gender identity because he had gender reassignment surgery back in 2020. So WPRI reports that in these court documents, his trans identity led to the divorce with his ex-wife, reportedly detailing, she said, that he had narcissistic and personality disorder traits along with the transition. So his social media profiles under investigation. I want to point this out. Just one day before he opened fire, he was defending trans Congresswoman Sarah McBride. He wrote this in part on X. Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk. So they're looking into all of these things on social media. As investigators say, it was a targeted attack. That's one thing they know for sure. Sources telling Fox it was a dispute within this family that led to the tragedy. So the gunman shows up, kills his ex-wife and one of his own kids at the hockey game. Police.
If I get a chance, check out my other video. It's my new video I just did today. Check it out.
But a good Samaritan stepped in and tried to take this gunman down. Watch.
Police were on scene within a minute and a half of that call. A good Samaritan stepped in and interjected in this scene, and that's probably what led to a swift end of this tragic event.
And so what we know right now is that the mayor has said so far, Bill, they've interviewed dozens, maybe more than 100 people. They're going to look at all the different video and pieces together. The question is, how many weapons did this gunman have? We know at least one, and it could have been a lot worse if this other person at the game wouldn't have stepped in and taken that shooter down. So we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, you guys should have picked up on what the real motivations were in regards to why this person did it, okay? And we're going to talk about it. But first, let's go ahead and play some news clips here featuring some of the family members of this individual. And right now we have 3 people who are dead, 3 in critical condition. All around sad story. That again, the mainstream liberal media, they're going to avoid talking about.
Right, condolences to the family, man.
Issue here that
Condolences
we really
to the family.
should be discussing,
Regardless,
which is why
condolences.
is it that we're continuing to see these mass shootings occur from these individuals who seem to be having a lot of issues, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Family reuniting and embracing after the traumatic experience inside of the Dennis M. Lynch Arena. Police say a gunman shot 5, killing 2 before turning the gun on himself.
My father was a shooter.
What happened?
He shot my family, and he's dead.
Should have shot himself.
Leaving the police
Leave them
station,
alone.
speaking
Take care of
with
yourself.
reporters,
Leave them
saying
alone.
her
Come on, man.
father was the one who opened fire inside of the hockey rink.
That's
He has
crazy.
mental health issues.
Any idea why he would have done this?
He's sick. He's very sick.
Players, their families, and spectators bust from the scene to the Pawtucket Police Department to be interviewed by detectives. Parents with flowers as it was senior night for Blackstone Valley.
Everybody started jumping over the bench, and it was pretty scary.
We heard the gunshots, but we didn't know what the noise was at first. After probably 4 shots, we just saw everybody hitting the ground.
Silas Core was on the bench for Coventry High School, his mother in the stands at the time.
We barricaded the locker room with our bodies. We were all pressing up against it, and everybody was, worried about our parents and everybody.
I actually got back in there to try to find out where he was, and I saw them doing CPR.
Subscribe, everybody. Let's grow, and learn together.
Leaving here tonight, just wondering why.
He was just very sick. If you have a loved one who you think is sick, trust your gut.
Now, the 3 others who are wounded here are in critical condition. Pawtucket Police, the chief telling us that they do have officers here, detectives here as well, but they have not yet interviewed any of those other victims, which also speaks to the condition that they're in right now, fighting for their lives. Live here in Providence tonight, I'm Peter Leopoulos, WCBB, News Center 5.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. So apparently this shooter, Robert Dorgan, threatened to go berserk and trans rights rant day before mass shooting. Now, you've already seen some of this, okay, in previous clips that I played in this video. So let's read a little bit more and get into some details about exactly what happened leading up to this and the real motivations behind this. Because the real motivation behind this has nothing to do with the fact that this person allegedly was a Trump supporter. It had everything to do with the fact that this person was essentially defending the leftist version of his ideology, right? So that is what's going on here. They are trying to avoid that because, let's be real, people on the right generally are not going to get upset over quote-unquote misgendering, right? Or bullying trans people. That's not a right-wing or conservative thing, okay? Many of these individuals who have these issues going on, yeah, they're not all the way aligned in a way politically that is consistent with how they live their lives, right? And for whatever reason, leftists can't seem to understand this concept. So let's read here. The crazed transgender dad who shot up a high school hockey game in Rhode Island threatened to go berserk in a trans rights rant just a day before he massacred 2 family members and injured 3 others. Robert Dorgan, who also identified as Roberto Esposito, killed himself after open firing at the Pawtucket ice rink where his son was playing on Monday afternoon, less than a week after another transgender gunman shot up a school in one of Canada's deadliest mass shootings. the night before the bloodshed, the 56-year-old dad, who
Right,
underwent
trans
gender reassignment
fatigue
surgery
is
in
real.
2020,
You're right.
made an ominous post on X in anger at someone calling trans Democratic Representative Sarah McBride a man. Quote, keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk, Dorgan wrote in the chilling post. Police believe Dorgan, too, was targeting his own family when he wreaked havoc at the ice rink following years of heated court disputes over his identity. The fatal victims of a Monday shooting include the mother of Dorgan's hockey player son and the student athlete sibling, multiple sources told WPRI. It was immediately clear if the mom gunned down was Dorgan's ex-wife.
Damn.
The ex filed for divorce in 2020 on the grounds of, quote, gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic plus personality disorder traits, according to the court filing of
He was reaching out for help. Damn.
Their split was finalized in 2021. The three people who were critically injured in Monday's shooting include two other relatives and a family friend. They remain in critical condition, cops said. Yeah, so what we have here, right, is an individual who clearly had some mental issues, right? And because of these mental issues, that is part of the reason why this individual was experiencing family issues, right? I'm pretty sure that the wife did not sign up for fake breasts, and who knows what other operations this individual got, right? Maybe this individual got their twigs and berries cut off, right? So, I can imagine, if you're married to somebody like this, again, this is not what you signed up for, right? And that's part of the reason why she divorced him. Now, this person had issues with that, clearly. This was personal, but at the same time, if people are going to assign a political angle to this, it doesn't have anything to do with his alleged support of Trump. It has everything to do with his support of left-wing ideology, right? Let's keep it real.
Right.
Trans ideology is not right-wing. It's just not. You can say whatever you want about who this person voted for, right? I think that what leftists fail to understand is that you can vote for somebody, but not necessarily agree with all of their viewpoints, right? I'm sure this person, and we know this for a fact because this person basically did this after defending a Democrat, right? A trans Democrat. You can agree with, 80% of somebody's ideology, right? Or, you can agree with Trump 80%, but you can also have leftist viewpoints on certain issues, right? This individual seemed to have leftist viewpoints when it came to gender, right? And again, if you're going to make this political, if you're going to say that, this person was a Trump supporter, right? If you're going to bring that up, then make sure you bring up the fact that this individual was defending a Democrat right before this happened, right? Defending a Democrat and defending left-wing ideology. That's what people got to understand. There's a difference between, what you ideologically believe in versus who you voted for, okay? This person may have had some right-wing viewpoints, but when it came to, this issue of gender, this person was left-wing on this issue. And that is the motivation behind this shooting. That and family issues, which also kind of stem from this individual's left-wing ideology on this specific issue of gender, right?
Right.
Really, this person believed that, hey, I'm a woman. I want to live my life as a woman. The wife didn't like it. The family obviously had issues with it.
Right. He was married.
Led to the mass shooting. Now,
wow.
Individuals like this have issues, right? They have these mental issues, and these mental issues are leading to these individuals committing acts of violence, right? And the problem is that the mainstream liberal media, instead of acknowledging this for what it is, acknowledging that this is becoming a pattern that we're seeing over and over and over again. We just talked about what happened in Canada, right? And saying, hey, let's take a step back and understand that, is it something that we really need to talk about as a society, that we have the same patterns showing up over and over and over again, right? Amongst
that's
a
crazy.
very specific group of people who are becoming more and more and more militant, right? And if you say anything about it, if you call it out for what it is, people want to claim that you're transphobic when you're saying, hey, these guys are getting violent, right?
Oh, there was no comparison to it at all. Again, Chicago, boy, he's shooting right now. Somebody in Chicago probably got shot right now. It'd be like, what, 50 people over the weekend get shot? So, yeah, you can't compare that. I'm with you, MT. You can't compare that.
In their language as well, too, right? And that's a big issue. That's a huge issue. And it's becoming more of an issue. This person acknowledged in this post before committing this act of violence that, hey, yeah, this person believed that violence is justified just because, society doesn't agree.
Check out my video.
Right?
It's my new video. Check that out.
That's what this person believed.
If you got time.
And they're becoming more open about it, right? They're embracing more, gun culture. We're seeing that. And again, they're not embracing it for self-defense in the way that, normal people think about self-defense. They're embracing it for self-defense in the way that they feel like words are an attack on them, right? They feel like they're defending themselves from words, okay? Because nobody is really physically attacking transgender folks, right? Most of the violence that transgender people experience in this country comes from other transgender people and people that they hang out with, people in the LGBTQ community, right? People that they associate with. Otherwise, for the most part, the rest of society, we kind of, mind our own business.
It's Chicago, MT. It's Chicago.
So the actual real violence
I know they are.
they're experiencing.
I'm from the west side of Chicago.
Right, within their own
Madison and Laramie, Western and
what they're
Roosevelt.
upset about is the words, right?
Division in Austin.
Words, the violent rhetoric that they
Lake and
consider
Pulaski.
to be harmful because it doesn't align with their gender ideology or their worldview, and they're becoming militant about it. And you're seeing these acts of violence being committed because of the fact that they feel like it is justified to defend themselves, right? And that's the real conversation that we got to have. So, this is a very, very, very sad situation. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims, the family, especially the family, because, this is something
Thoughts and prayers.
They knew that this individual had some problems. And unfortunately, this is what it has led to. And it's about time that we have a real conversation about what we're seeing over and over and over, not just in this country, but in other countries as well, too. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
We got to talk about old Hillary Clinton, because recently they all went to Munich. And when I say they, a bunch of Democrats, acting as leaders of America. Gretchen Whitmer was one of those individuals. If you're not familiar with Gretchen Whitmer, she is the governor, the Democrat governor.
Yeah, this TDS is strong. Here we're gonna go overseas and diss Trump, and overseas let her know, we like Trump. He's cool. But let's check it out.
Of the state of Michigan. She was there, and I'm going to play one of her clips first, and then we're going to get into AOC absolutely putting her foot in her mouth. I mean, she could legitimately fill in for Kamala Harris with the way she was talking. And
right,
then we go
fucking word salad.
Where Hillary Clinton actually got called out, which is absolutely hilarious. But before we get into that, obviously, like I said, we're going to get into this Gretchen Whitmer clip, so check it out.
On Ukraine, what does victory look like?
No, please, I love it.
When she said ambassador, she pointed to AOC, expecting AOC to answer the question, but listen to
yeah, good luck on that.
No, please, I love it. I'd love to hear your answer.
It is the two that I am on the
panel. Subscribe if
much
you haven't
more
already.
steeped in foreign policy
Thank you.
Than a governor is, but I do think that Ukraine's independence, keeping their land mass, and having the support of all the allies, I think is the goal from my vantage point. Go ahead, Ambassador, do a better job. On Ukraine.
Yeah, not fit for the job, Now let's go on to someone who was even worse than that, which is AOC, which is also scary because she seems to be one of the front runners to be the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. Take a listen to what she had to say in response to a question. And oh my goodness, when I tell y'all she could fill in for Kamala Harris, boy was she spot on. Check it out.
Offer. And to all of you, and Congressman, I'll start with you, would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is a...
Today, Junior!
This is, of course, a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Yeet.
That was a real video, ladies and gentlemen. I did not edit that to make her stutter and say 1,000 times and pause and pause and pause again. No, I did not edit that video that way. That's legitimately how she was talking in response to that simple question. Golly. Once again, y'all better make sure y'all get out and vote unless you want that as your president. All right? Goodness gracious. Actually, I think there's a Republican running against AOC in her district. I believe her name is like Tina Peters, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. If y'all know who I'm talking about, comment it down below. I believe her name is Tina, though. She's running against AOC. To be quite honest, I doubt she'll win. Would I like for her to win? Sure. I'd love to see a Republican replace AOC. But the reality is it's probably not going to happen. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this because, Hillary Clinton got embarrassed. Check it out.
To you, I absolutely, I understand that we've had various versions of it already. Your characterization of a clash between conservative and liberal values being, at the heart of what's going on in the West. But in this particular one, a security issue, one that involves international law, whether countries still respect those international laws laid down after the Second World War. Do you think that brings a new rift within the West? Ukraine, the U.S.'s position. Yes, I am.
I think that the Trump administration's position toward Ukraine is disgraceful. I think the effort to force Ukraine into a surrender deal with Putin is shameful. I think the effort that Putin and Trump are making to profit off the misery and death of the Ukrainian people is a historic error and corrupt to the nth degree. So I
remember what I told you guys. Democrats always accuse Republicans of what they are or what they are doing. Remember she said that Trump and Putin, like they're teaming up all of a sudden. Here we go, Russia. Here we go again. Trump and Putin are attempting to profit off of this. Okay. All right. Remember we were trying to get some receipts on where all that money was going in Ukraine? And we had a lot of iffy characters saying, nah, we shouldn't be doing that. I wonder where that money went. Hillary, were you getting some kickbacks? I wonder. What do y'all think?
I believe
they did.
Ukraine is fighting for our democracy and our values of freedom and civilization on the front lines losing.
Okay, now that is just, I'm sorry. I know I just paused it, but that is some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard. Ukraine is fighting for America's democracy? Bro, we would squash Russia like a bug as far as I'm concerned. Russia is struggling with Ukraine, and Ukraine is fighting for our democracy? Come on, bro. Stop it. Oh my goodness, these folks, man, they absolutely disgust me. These Democrats, man, scam artists. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop pausing. So
on the front lines, losing thousands of people and having their country destroyed by one man's mania
Here we
to
go.
control them. And I think
The TDS
Trump
is strong in this
doesn't
one.
understand or could care less about that suffering. So that's what I think.
And so, do you think he has destroyed the West? To go to our title,
He has betrayed the West. He's betrayed human values. He's betrayed the NATO Charter, the Atlantic Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A lot of what has been done before to try to make sense of how difficult it is to restrain people who want unaccountable power. And none of us in this room, including all of us on this panel,
Amazing.
would choose to
Subscribe,
live under a
subscribe.
regime that was so unaccountable that it could act with impunity the way that Putin does, except that's who Trump is modeling himself
I don't think we would be having this debate under that kind of regime, for sure. We will come back, I suspect, to the conservatism and liberalism clash within the West, but thank you for that. Peter, do you agree that the Trump administration's actions on Ukraine have produced a rift in the West?
Well, first, I think you really don't like him.
You dig. Amazing.
You know, that is absolutely true. But I really,
Damn.
not only do I not like him, I don't like him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world.
You just mad because you're not president to mess it up.
That there is something good that will come out of it.
And thank God you not.
Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something that, for some policies that really went too far. Too far from the regular people, too far from reality.
Shut up.
You know, we saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution. I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights?
It's only two genders. Man and woman.
I think there are two genders.
notice how she didn't actually address what he was seriously saying. She threw out some bullshit. Which gender? What? Women having their rights? You know what he's talking about.
Right.
You know exactly what he's talking about. That's why
It's only two genders.
BS. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. When they don't address the actual points, just know they lost. They know they lost.
I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights?
Really? Subscribe. Thank you.
There are two genders, but some of us think that there is more than one or more than two gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the
Thanks,
front
Philly.
lines
Thank you.
dying to
Thank
save
you.
their
Thank you.
freedom, and they're two genders?
Okay.
That's what you're worried about?
Appreciate it. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not here to ask anybody to be a Trump supporter or even vote for Trump. This is what I like. I'm sharing different things that I like, you know what I'm saying, and share with you guys and see what you guys think in the chat. We can learn and grow with each other. I'm not going to block nobody unless you're a bot. You know, other than that, let's have some fun. Let's chat. And make sure you got all the notifications turned on. Thank you. Thank you. Let's continue. The name is Deontay as well.
Finish my points. I'm sorry that it makes you nervous. I'm really sorry for that.
It makes me nervous. It makes me very
Can we let Peter finish, please? Can we let Peter finish, please?
I have to say one thing. You said that Ukraine.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Future and for our freedom. I think first Ukraine fights for Ukraine's future, Ukraine's freedom, Ukraine's sovereignty and independence. So we should help them, of course. But what I see on some people in the West, they are trying to help the Ukraine. But that's another question. I don't know if Trump's administration is helping the Ukraine to stop the war. I believe that there is such an approach. I don't see any other strong geopolitical player who would be able to force Russia to stop killing the Ukraine people and stop destroying their country. I don't see. Maybe China, but China makes nothing. I don't know if the pressure, if Trump is forcing Russia in the way that they will stop the war. I don't know. I only see that the only Americans right at the moment can make it. I see the dialogue.
Do you think Europe could put more pressure on Russia, for example, by putting pressure on Turkey, by targeting the refineries of oil more, and so on?
I think Europe also makes some pressure. We release sanctions. We do what we can. But I think the Russians, they probably don't care. When I visited Ukraine, I saw the goodwill of all people in Ukraine. They were really united and willing to stop the war. But they keep fighting. They also made some steps that probably a year ago no one from them would allow to say or even suggest. Now they are ready to make some steps back. Now.
Well, first off, yeah, you saw that there. Hillary Clinton getting real hot, getting real heated. She was getting called out to her face on that BS that she was out there spewing. But, I want to ask you guys a question, a genuine question. Am I crazy for saying, no, I don't care about Ukraine? I don't think we should be helping Ukraine. I shouldn't say I don't care. I'll say, I don't think we should be spending money on Ukraine. Am I crazy for making that statement? Y'all let me know in the comments, because I felt that way for quite a while. And every time I see one of these world leaders, right, they're always talking about, oh, yeah, of course we should help Ukraine. What do you mean, of course? Why, of course? Why, of course? Why is that just like the de facto? Yeah, we got to help Ukraine.
Thank you.
Why?
Thank you guys for subscribing and likes. Thank you.
Do we not have a homeless crisis? Do we not have people dying, ODing on the streets of America? Do we not have, people who sometimes struggle to make ends meet? Is this country perfect? Do we have streets paved with gold? Are we not in trillions?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Debt? I don't know. Like, I would say we should clean our own house before we attempt to clean somebody else's. But that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Because every time I see these world leaders, part of me kind of feels a little crazy. Like, hold on, wait. Am I the one that's tripping? Because they all keep saying, like, of course we should be helping Ukraine. And I'm like, hell no. Sink or swim on your own. Just saying. Y'all let me know in the comments, man. Y'all let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts and your opinions on that, all right?
Yep.
But anyway, I love seeing that clip with Hillary getting real pissed off.
Yeah.
Opportunity to be with you here on the Trish Regan Show. Do me the favor of making sure you subscribe, share, like, make a comment. We're live and it's good to have you here. A quick shout out to my other company, 76 Research. We got that great inflation report. Necessarily are, and yet because the other side has gotten so crazy, they're calling us crazy. Because, you don't want to give up all your income. You actually want to keep some of what you save. You actually think that a country ought to have borders. Imagine that. I mean, the Democrats would have told you that 10 years ago. Gosh, even, 8 years ago. It was all Donald Trump and the TDS that ensued. The day he came down the escalator, because he talked about immigration, suddenly they can't talk about it anymore, right? They couldn't do it anymore. And I'll just say that, they continue on this path with this whole Save America Act. We want to try and actually have an ID. Imagine that for somebody who votes. And they're fighting.
IDs are not racist.
I mean, this one I really don't get, guys. You're going to have a hard time. You've got 83% of the country saying, we want this. And the majority, well over 70% of black voters, they want it. And you're going to sit there, white Chuck Schumer from New York, and tell us that we're wrong. Like all of America's wrong. The black voters that say this is not Jim Crow, they're wrong. You know better. Oh yeah, apparently he's still on this bandwagon. Listen to him here on CNN with Jake Tapper.
About 83% of the American people, including majority Democrats, support voter ID laws.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws that first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. They make it so hard to get any kind of...
Y'all hear that bullshit? He said having IDs is 2.0, Jim Crow 2.0. I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna show you another video from back in the day. You'll see.
More than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
Oh.
In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a social security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. All over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I worry about is that this bill, which started out with good intentions, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is going to end up being the same kind of thing that the public gets angry with us on. We say we're doing
This is crazy how Chuck just switched from back then into now. IDs are still IDs.
Every time someone makes a rational and small proposal to get something done, people say, well, what about this hypothetical, that hypothetical, etc. I urge support of this amendment. If you believe you want to stop fraud in immigration, you have no choice but to support this amendment.
Gentleman's time has expired. About 83% of the American people, including majority Democrats, support voter ID laws.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws that first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. They make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
Birth certificate, marriage license. Pass the SAVE Act, dummies.
Let's admit it.
Really? So you know better than everyone else. Okay. I mean, this doesn't make any sense, really and truly. I mean, you go to do anything at all. You want to ride a Greyhound bus, forget about an airplane. You want to ride a bus, you need an ID. You want to walk into a building, you want to walk into a doctor's office, you want to walk into the hospital, like everybody asks for an ID. You want to check out a life. They need an ID. I mean, this is bonkers stuff. And it tells you, back to how we began the show, with them hemorrhaging voters, it tells you that this is their only way, right? How else are they going to get anybody to ever vote for them?
Antonio, thanks, man. Thanks, bro.
Free stuff, and then say,
I wasn't paying attention. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
We're not going to let you in.
Oh, high school buddy. Man, thank you.
To be clear, they've had issues with this. We did something over the weekend, a short, on my shorts page with a mayor of a town here in the Midwest who actually was a Mexican citizen, not a U.S. citizen, did not actually have the proper citizenship, was a non-citizen, and therefore should not have could not have actually run for mayor, and yet the guy ran for mayor and won, and they just found all this stuff out. I'm telling you, this is wild. Here, I gotta show it to you. This is something you guys get to see, because this is nuts. And effectively, if you continue on in this direction, this is where we're heading, okay? This is wild. As I said, they're gonna... Are we having... When the gremlins come, the gremlins are back. Let's try it again. You got to hear this. They're saying this guy has been convicted of election fraud, but, well, wait for it.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury. Kobach claims Ceballos is lawfully living in the U.S., but is a citizen of Mexico, making him ineligible to vote.
Oh, so that would make him an illegal mayor. This is getting wild. Wild indeed, okay? So that's an extreme example, but you know what the concern is here, that it's sort of a slippery slope and the creep is going to happen. You have New York State that tried to get 800,000 non-citizens to be able to vote in their local elections, and it went all the way up to the Second Court of Appeals, who said, yeah, no way. But I think they figure if they can just keep hitting this and hitting this and hitting this and hitting this, that at some point they're going to actually be able to get illegals to vote. And that's the method to the madness. There is a political objective here, because it's hard to understand, right? It's hard to understand when you think about how insane this is. The representative majority whip, Tom Emmer, was actually talking about this. I want to show you this clip over the weekend, and he's absolutely right. I mean, it makes no sense. This is the guy who, by the way, wants to deport Ilhan Omar. Watch.
We passed the Save America Act yesterday. It's a very simple bill that Republicans, Democrats, and others in this country all believe.
As far as the Super Bowl show, they could have put subtitles down there. I think they do the same thing for soccer overseas. They put subtitles. But they should have had picked somebody else, though, because even the auto sound, without the sound, he was terrible. That's all you heard without the auto. Amazing.
Believe is fair. One, when you register to vote, you have to prove citizenship. I'm a citizen of the U.S. Only U.S. citizens should be voting in U.S. elections. Two, when you appear to vote, when you appear at your precinct to cast a ballot, you should have a photo ID. And these guys are doing the same old broken record about voter suppression, all this. Really? Why aren't they screaming about photo IDs at the airport? Why aren't they screaming about photo IDs when you check out a book at the library? By the way, if they think it's voter suppression, why do they require photo IDs at the Democrat National Convention to get in?
Yeah. Why? Okay. A lot of good questions there. We're not getting a lot of good answers, but some members of the Democrat Party are starting to shift a little bit. John Fetterman out of Pennsylvania, he's no fool, right? You get Pennsylvania, which, by the way, if you go back to that chart, do we have it from the New York Times? You see the New York Times is showing you all the states where you get a lot of growth in the Republican Party. That would be Pennsylvania that's also on that list. So John Fetterman's no fool. He's the senator out of Pennsylvania. He knows that people don't agree with this. He knows he's got some sane folks there. And he's like, I'm not gonna jump on this bandwagon because it literally makes no sense. And what happens? They start piling on. Listen to the panel on CNN. They're like, calling Fetterman out. How dare he drift from our corporate message. Watch.
I would never refer to the SAVE Act as like Jim Crow 2.0 or some kinds of conspiracy, but that's part of the debate that we were having here in the Senate right now, and I don't call people names or imply that it's some kinds of things as something gross about the terrible history of like Jim Crow.
What do you think?
I think Fetterman is the most off-message Democrat in the chamber right now, which doesn't, he is saying what he believes and, representing exactly what he believes, but that's not what most Democrats believe. So while he might be saying, and I think most Democrats would get on board with what Schumer was saying, this is a solution to a problem that literally does not exist.
You think so? You think it doesn't exist, I gotta tell you, they think it might. In fact, that's why there were 700 ballots, 700 boxes of ballots taken from Fulton County by the FBI. That's why Tulsi Gabbard is going through all those. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about this. I realize it doesn't fit the Democrat narrative, but you know what, Fetterman, he's onto something. As is Emmer, as is the entire Republican Party that says this makes absolutely no sense, and it's high time we call it out. The president, by the way, saying, "Look, I'm going to make sure that we have some way to check people's ID." I don't know how he does that, frankly. I mean, ahead of midterms, I don't know how he's going to pull that off if they don't get Save America through, because they're going to have to get the SAVE Act through in order to be able, otherwise, it's all left up to the states. And if it's left up to the states, they can be as reckless, I guess, as they want. You have to sue them after the fact. I want to get to some more polls that we have coming out and try and help you make sense of it, because CNN is running all the way to the bank with these things on independence. We're going to get to that in a moment. But first, a quick word from one of our great sponsors here on the show. It's a new year. You may have new systems at your business. This is a time very early in the game. It's a long time between now and midterms. And don't forget, he was predicted to lose. He really was. I mean, you looked at the numbers and they were not good going into 2024. So anything can happen and anything will, but just be aware of what's happening. And all of these polls, to a certain extent, especially when it comes to independence, have certain biases built in. And CNN is trying to, run, as I said, all the way to the bank with this stuff. And I think you kind of got to take a moment here and pause.
Okay, SF. Okay.
Happy Washington's birthday observed today. That's what it is in the state of New York. I'm a New Yorker through and through. Let's take a look at another president, though. President Donald John Trump.
So much winning.
4 numbers across for you on this screen here. They are all second-term lows for the given pollster. What are we talking about? AP New York, 26 points below water. NBC, 22 points below water. Yahoo YouGov, 20 points below water. Quinnipiac, 19 points below water. So we're ranging from negative 19 points all the way to negative 26 points. Kate, there's this question that folks keep asking, where is the floor for Donald Trump? And I'm not sure there is a floor, because if there is one, Donald Trump, at least in term number 2, has just fallen through it to another low level.
How does this compare with his first term, and how does this?
I'm surprised. This is CNN even saying this. Amazing. This is CNN.
Compare with Joe Biden.
Amazing saying this. They be dissing him.
Right here. One of the things that Donald Trump had been arguing, his proponents have been arguing, you know what, he's doing better than he was doing in term number 1. No longer is that the case. What are we talking about here? Okay, net approval rating at this point in the term. Look at this. 22 points below water on average when you average all the pollsters from the last slide. That is actually lower. That is lower than he was at this point in term number 1, when it was 17 points below water. So he's doing 5 points worse, and he's doing way worse than Joe Biden was doing at this point in his term number 1, when he was 13 points below water. So the bottom line is this: Donald Trump is setting new records for himself in term number 2, setting new records for himself compared to where he was at this point in term number 1, and he's doing worse than Joe Biden, which is, of course, the comparison that Donald Trump does not want to be, because we all know what happened to Joe Biden. His party lost the House in term number 1, that midterm elections, and then, of course, Joe Biden was not reelected to another term. At this point, the numbers are no bueno for the president of the United States.
What's driving this that you're seeing right now?
Okay, Kate. So, you know what? This is the segment. We have done it over and over.
Here's perhaps what's behind some of these numbers. First of all, they're independents, and you do want to win independence, right? We got to try and win independence, because they often can make or break the country. But I would just caution here that we've had a lot going on, and
thank you.
Say, as I say, look, we need borders, we need safety, we need security. We shouldn't have people out all riled up in the streets trying to take on our ICE agents. Like, that's
right. Stay at home.
Fundamentally wrong.
Karen, Kevin, stay at home.
Paid protesters, don't kid yourself. You've got all kinds of foreign groups that were infiltrating these communities and trying to get people ginned up and out there protesting. And so you have this very high emotional tenor right now within the country, especially in places like Minnesota, Minneapolis. And the president, as smart as he is, immediately pivoted. He said, okay, you know what, Kristi Noem, we've got 2 people killed. It's not going over well. The polls are reflecting, I think, this sentiment, because Americans may on the one hand say, hey, we want tight, secure borders, and we want to make sure that people are not, criminals that are here being let out onto our streets. And yet simultaneously, when you have Americans that are out there protesting and they wind up in harm's way, a lot of people have a problem with that. Okay. And they're not saying, well, she shouldn't have been there. They're saying, why was she killed, or why was he killed? And so I think that when you look at those numbers, that's what's reflected. And so the president was very smart to cut his losses and say, okay, we're getting Homan in there. We need the big guns in there. And Homan's, by the way, worked for Obama. Okay, he's worked under both sides. And so he came in.
Right. Tom Homan worked with Obama. Now he's with Trump. If Kamala Harris did her part, we didn't have to do all this with Tom Homan and Trump. All this people getting hurt and dying. But the thing about it, when Obama did it, 56 people passed away. So it is what it is.
And he said, okay, you guys are gonna play ball or else. We're not gonna turn this into craziness anymore. You're going to go along with allowing for the release of criminals into ICE's hands, and in exchange, we'll reduce the numbers of officers on the streets. Period. End of story. So that was what I would call a good move. Okay, a good move, because you're getting the criminals out, but you're doing it without all the hoopla, and you're able to focus on what you need to focus on, which, for goodness sakes, is the $700 million in cash that departed the Minneapolis airport in suitcases.
Subscribe.
For Dubai. We need to figure out what's going on with those fraudsters, and they need to be deported if it's legally allowed.
She caked up.
They
Hey,
need to be paying the penalty, and Americans need to recover their tax dollars. So that's good.
she was on TV for a while, so she used to makeup, I guess.
Pivoting and saying, okay, we're going to get back to business. So that's number one. The other big thing that's happening, and he doesn't get enough credit for this yet, is that inflation is coming down. Okay, inflation, guys, is coming way down, and this is so important, and this is so good. And I know we're not back at prices like we had before. You don't necessarily want that, because then you're dealing with deflation, which is a real concern among some market watchers. Kathy Wood's one of them. Myself and Rob Horton over at 76 Research, we're others. They're a little bit worried about deflation, because in the age of AI, you're going to basically be able to reduce a lot of costs, and that should mean lower costs to the customers, to the consumers, but you can't be in a deflationary environment. That's why it was so important that the Fed come through and say, okay, we're going to cut rates. We're going to do things that will be stimulatory, because look at these inflation numbers. I mean, this is amazing. And even in the face of tariffs, right? Everybody thought, oh, inflation's going to skyrocket.
If y'all get a chance, check out this video. Check this out if you get a chance.
Okay, look, this is some encouraging news on the cost of living, right? Inflation.
Let me know what you guys think.
A big step in the right direction to start the year off. So consumer prices up by 2.4% year over year. That is an improvement from 2.7% in December. That beat expectations, which were for 2.5%. In fact, this is a new 8-month low for annual inflation, month over month. Prices up by 0.2%. Also a step in the right direction, also beating expectation. Now, economists look really closely at
this is a really good thing. Okay, so even though you say, oh, it's up 2.4%, don't forget, under Joe Biden, it was up like 9.6%. So yes, it's up 2.4%, and that's cumulative. It's over. But the other thing that they're not telling you about is real wages. Real wages, compared with inflation, real wages are way up. People have much more money in their pockets. So this is a good scenario, but, it doesn't happen overnight. He just got into office. Everybody thought we were going to go back to yesterday's prices. You're going to feel wealthier immediately, and it takes a little time. I'm here to tell you, with all the years I've been covering the economy, this stuff does not happen overnight. And the markets are often trying to...
Reverend Jim Jones, thanks for being in the chat.
How good the markets are doing. That tells you good things are happening.
Name is Deontay. Welcome.
So that'll be important to have right before midterms. Just look at prices coming down here. We're looking at PepsiCo with up to 15% reductions in their Lay's, Doritos, Cheetos, Tostitos stacks.
Yep, God bless.
General Mills price reductions across 2/3 of all products available in North America. I mean, this is wonderful. Giant Food is another one. Lower prices on produce, dairy, meat, pantry
God bless us all.
All of this is really important. All of this is stuff that we have talked about at 76research.com. So another shout out to them, which is me and Rob. Them, us. I'll do my own horn for a minute. It's a beautiful inflation report. I sound like the president right now. It was absolutely spot on. This is what you want to see. You got a new Fed governor coming in. You got an administration that thinks innovatively about tech. This is the recipe for success.
Right, amazing.
It really is. So I encourage you to be invested.
Subscribe. Thank you.
Not sure where to go or how to begin.
Let's grow together, everybody. Let's grow together. Thank you,
Code
guys.
word dollar deal, LLAR. If you can, really try and get those model portfolios that we're not taking your money. We're not investing your money. We're just giving you the research and telling you exactly what we're investing in, what stocks we like in each of those portfolios. Really important to do. And we're going to pay another bill here. We're one of our greatest sponsors. They've been here. Gosh, I feel like since the beginning.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Reverend Jones.
My friends over at Balance in Nature. I'm traveling, and of course, I took the Balance in Nature with me. What do you know? If you're like me and you're tired of all the random stuff getting thrown into your supplements, and you're looking at it saying, "I have no idea what this is. I don't know what phytonutrition is," I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. But phytonutrients are naturally.
If you guys don't mind, I'll probably go live 4 days. Let's see. So I try to go live. Let's see if you guys don't mind. I try to go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if Saturday, if it's possible. I try to go in the morning if you guys like that. Try to give you guys the latest news, updates, what's going on.
Occurring plant nutrients that are found in whole foods that give them their color, that give them their taste, that give them their smell, so you don't need artificial colors and sugars and things like that. And when it comes to your diet, the presence of these three things is a surefire sign that you're getting real phytonutrients. Okay, so you want
thank you, Reverend. Thank you.
And process. You want that quality and you want that excellent processing.
I'm gonna bring good stuff. I ain't gonna bring no bullshit. I'm gonna show you some good stuff.
Through a tailored,
and part my language.
Cold process. I just learned all this recently that stabilizes the ingredients. So they're then powdered and packaged with no binders, no fillers, no flow agents, all things that, you're like, wait, what are those? Oh my God. Well, the whole health system, this is terrific. It's made by Balance in Nature. And these supplements in the whole health system are a value bundle that include their fruits and veggies. That's what I take. The fiber and spice supplements, which
I'm gonna switch it up for you guys. Today talking about Minnesota. Here you go right here.
The Officers Federation of Minneapolis.
This is Cash Jordan.
Individuals or groups establishing unauthorized checkpoints, blockades, or patrol zones on public streets. Peaceful protest is a constitutional right. Activities or physically blocking public roadways is not.
So, in addition to setting up checkpoints all over Minnesota, rioters are now perpetually clamoring at the gates of the governor's mansion, demanding their sanctuary leader, Tim Walz, do more to resist the feds and remove ICE from their city. The only problem is the brainwashed masses here don't understand that he can't, and that DHS has yet to run out of illegal fugitives or Antifa gang leaders to take down, who we're now learning are actually the real leaders of Minnesota.
Thousands of others oppose ICE by driving around every single day looking for agents. They consider it their job to stop arrests when they can. Advocacy groups say they have trained tens of thousands of people how to do it safely.
According to immigrants' rights group COPAL, there are more than 30,000 people who are signed up as trained constitutional observers.
We find them every day.
We now have the resources we need to begin the work of identifying, disrupting, and dismantling these insurgent networks. As you mentioned, they're very coordinated. They have ICE spotters and ICE watchers. They use chats to communicate with each other, to identify the location, and then they train their insurgents on how to block ICE vehicles, how to try to free arrestees.
No, things are not calming down, and Holman was here for that.
Border Czar Tom Homan announcing this week that around 2,000 agents will remain in Minnesota to carry out what he called targeted enforcement efforts.
When we leave this building, we know what we're looking for.
Andrew Wilson, let me check that out. Let's see, Andrew Wilson.
Wow, they are not happy with Governor Walz over here in Minnesota, are they? But what nobody's talking about is this right here is the eventual predicament of anyone who grifts off of mob rule, because eventually the mob gets out of control and ends up running the place. And this is not an understatement, as these radicals have totally turned against their traitorous leaders and are now taking to the streets, turning intersections into communist checkpoints while they drive around all day in cars looking for federal agents, wondering why Governor Walz isn't in the back seat with them as they try to protect Antifa generals from getting hauled out of apartments at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was only a matter of time before Governor Walz found himself the enemy of his own people. You see these mobs, as they radicalize and radicalize and radicalize, eventually they exceed even your wildest expectations and go completely off the deep end. But now you're probably wondering why Walz and Omar are out there stoking the righteous anger of these hordes. Well, it's pretty simple. They got a huge short-term boost in popularity from these radicals who wanted to see action against Trump and who wanted to be told they were fighting for the cause of righteousness. But then the mobs figured out their leaders were only willing to go so far and went rogue. Which brings us to the real reason the federal government is sticking around in Minnesota. Yes, after President Trump told Governor Walz that he was going to invoke the Insurrection Act, Governor Walz was trapped between a rock and a hard place, forcing him to make the difficult decision to turn on the mobs. Because if the Insurrection Act kicks in, the federal government takes over every aspect of law and order in Minnesota, including the discovery and shutting down of fraud dens and scam centers and the prosecution of those involved. Schemes these elected officials hope and pray they can somehow figure out how to cover up, something they won't be able to do if they are deposed of their power, which is why they're now being forced to cooperate, which, as you're about to see, is exactly what the mobs on the streets of this place do not want.
Resisting fascism a crime? Are ICE and CBP bringing peace and prosperity to Minnesota? Do we believe that the Trump administration ever acts out of any interest to ensure peace and prosperity for working class and oppressed peoples?
Amazing.
Walz should know that there is no negotiating with fascists.
You know something? I feel bad for these people. They've been told since 2015 that President Trump was the greatest threat to our entire planet ever. But the fact that they're in front of the governor's mansion espousing hatred really tells you something, doesn't it? Because just a couple of weeks ago, Governor Walz was the hero of the resistance movement powering socialist America. But today he's no better than Donald Trump. In fact, if you listen to these people, he's even worse than President Trump, which is quite an accomplishment, especially when you consider that President Trump gained the hatred and ire of these people by doing something America wants, by getting elected and doing what most people in this country want. But Tim Walz, he got their hatred by doing what they want.
Remind people who Tim Walz really is. This is a man who in 2020, immediately after the burning of the 3rd precinct, authorized deadly
the Democrat Party, boy, they show you they own quick. That's why I'm conservative. I vote Republican now because the Democrat Party, you go against them, you go against their agenda, they attack you, they call you a bootlicker, all type of crazy name. Because I don't like certain things, you've got to call me a name. We agree or disagree. That's the whole point of being alive. That's crazy.
Some of our lives as worth saving. Only see some of our lives as worth protecting.
So in this guy's opinion, Governor Walz...
Right, so when I say I'm a Republican, a Trump supporter, I've been embraced. Nobody ain't call me no names. I was embraced. Democrat Party, y'all, I gotta do better, man. And y'all told y'all Christians, if y'all are Christians, you're supposed to love each other, even your enemies. Matthew 5, verse 44. Love thy enemies, regardless. If you want to go to heaven, you gotta love your enemy. Let's continue.
He's been a sellout the entire time. He's never been part of the team, even though he was the leader of the team just a few days ago. Because the federal government hasn't yet been toppled and still has agents running around arresting dangerous criminals who don't help our country. And if you're running Minnesota, there's no coming back from this. You can't, as governor, harness the rage of these people forever because they are totally radicalized and they're in a competition with each other to see whose views can be the most extreme.
Thank you.
And you're going to lose that competition if you're faced with something like the Insurrection Act, which means there's no way to ride this wave forever. And if you want proof that Governor Walz and local officials in Minnesota are absolutely terrified of these mobs who've just got them totally surrounded and trapped. Look at who's allowed to live in Minnesota and doesn't get arrested at all until the feds show up.
Armed agents raided a Minneapolis apartment. It appears they smashed a window to get inside. Thanks for joining us. The White House says they took down a man who called
Oh yeah, I stand with ICE.
federal law enforcement officers on social media.
Ice, ice, baby.
This is when masked federal agents with long guns
Look at
make their
this.
way up to the third floor of this Minneapolis complex. And it was all caught on camera. You hear banging
crazy.
before you can make out a name.
Police for the warrant. Kyle Wagner, come to the door.
Oh, they
Minutes
had a
later,
warrant.
they take him away in handcuffs.
Masked
There he
gunmen,
goes.
federal agents came in, and I did see them grab our neighbor.
37-year-old
He doesn't
Kyle
know who his
Wagner,
neighbor was.
Minnesota
No, you
activist,
don't.
is now charged with threatening to assault and ICE agents.
That's who they found in this apartment. This guy right here. Look, it says right on his shirt, I'm Antifa. He doesn't care that he's being arrested, and this guy was on a mission. But the fact that people like this have embedded themselves all over these lawless sanctuaries, not just Minnesota, we've got them in California, we've got them in Portland, Oregon, it just goes to show you who the real leaders of this insurrection are behind the shadows, because these are the only people that can stay ahead of the radicalization of the mobs. You see, Governor Walz, he might be in charge, but then people like this guy right here who made threats against the federal government, I mean, no one's going to get more radical than him, and he doesn't have a reason to stop. He doesn't care about the Insurrection Act. And how do you have somebody who's a self-proclaimed Antifa general? Well, they're getting
Wow, a general?
that person. Someone's propping them up. We know there's money flowing into these organizations. Some of it's coming from the federal government. Some of it's coming from foreign interests.
Thank you, Diane, for
who don't
subscribing.
want to see
Thank you,
America
Diane.
function as it should, that's for sure. And what this reveals is the local government in Minnesota, this entire time, it's just been a smokescreen for what's really going on here.
Hi, Bill. The Justice Department using this as an example that if you threaten ICE officers, there's going to be real consequences.
There should be.
So as you mentioned, this is a self-described Antifa member, now hit with federal charges for his disturbing videos on social media. We'll show you more of those videos, but first, this is him right here, Kyle Wagner. They arrested him yesterday early in the morning. He was proudly wearing a hoodie with "I'm Antifa" plastered right across it there. The criminal complaint describes the threats against ICE. Fox obtained some of those videos. You can watch it for yourself.
This is not a joke. There's nothing fun to chant about it. Get your guns and stop these people.
This is where ICE has come to die. We will identify every single one of them.
How is this guy allowed to walk the streets of Minnesota free?
Where was he at when Obama was doing it? Where was all these people at when Obama did it? That's crazy. They watch CNN, they watch The View, and then go crazy. Pray for these people. Pray.
Really, and be a general in Antifa. Who are out, like, what was he doing? Was he just having coffee at the coffee shop, having peaceful conversations with people? Or was he sowing the seeds of insurrection beneath the surface, underneath the
Right to
cover
jail.
of a legitimate government that's afraid of people like this and knows that they're out there? This is the entire problem with these grifter politicians like Walz and Omar, who are getting rich,
TDS.
short-term political power.
Yes, it is. That's what it is.
Surf on top of
TDS.
these mob armies as they radicalize and head left, but eventually that ends. And eventually the sanctuary where this is taking place self-destructs because people like Mr. Kyle here are leading the charge off the deep end. And in order to avoid federal prison, Tim Walz, who's under federal investigation right now, better cooperate with President Trump. And you know how you can tell things here are really bad? The people that live in Minnesota have no idea what's really going on where they live.
The backbone of Minnesota's neighborhoods, economy, and culture.
United.
Yeah, sick of it, right?
This is our strong.
We got 3 more years of the man. 3 more years.
Small business
We did 4 years of Biden.
strength is fading by the minute.
We can do 3 more years with Trump.
Surge keeping away customers and out-of-town visitors. as well as slicing through staffs at stores and restaurants.
Our businesses are short-staffed, short-changed, and overextended.
Well, whose fault is that? Is that the fault of the federal government, who's here arresting criminals and deporting people who aren't supposed to be in America legally? Is it the fault of the federal government for coming here and shutting down scam and fraud centers all over the place?
With the help of Nick Shirley. Don't forget Nick Shirley helped it out.
Tried to appease the mobs by telling them, yeah, it's cool. We're a sanctuary. You can hire whoever you want. It doesn't matter if they're a gang member or somebody who snuck across the U.S. border and hasn't even been vetted. Go ahead, hire them. Doesn't matter that the federal government says they're not supposed to be here. I don't care. We're not going to enforce the law. We're not going to turn that person in. Go ahead, run your business this way. That's how these people built these businesses. And now that ICE is here, they don't have any workers and they don't have any customers. That's a big problem. That proves that we've got a massive illegal immigration problem going on in Minnesota.
Massive.
Than anyone here admitted before any of these operations kicked off. Yet the people here, they don't realize that had they just been playing by the rules, had they hired legal residents who couldn't get deported, none of this would be happening.
Mutual aid at the expense
Right, construction
of our own
sites
stability,
empty.
our own families, our own paychecks, and our own futures.
We're hearing that some businesses might not be open tomorrow or next week or in the next 2 weeks.
Friday, Minneapolis Lake Street Council saying they've lost $46 million in revenue since December.
46
We're not going to recover in March, even if 2,000 ICE agents leave tomorrow. You don't come back from that.
Custom. Oh, did you hear what that guy just said? He said, even if the mobs get their wish and ICE leaves, the writing is on the wall for these places. They are finished. And as you're about to see, this has nothing to do with ICE or the federal government, because the same people telling us the streets are unsafe and that everyone's in danger, that nobody wants to come outside, these are the same people who go outside every day combating the federal government, proving just how safe it is to be on the streets of Minnesota. We've got people that attack.
Right. If the ICE agent want to get any American right away, they know what people are going to protest. They can get them right there. Get the protesters right there. They lined up 100 of them. That's not happening. They're not going to your house snatching you out. They're getting the ones they need to get. All Americans be out there protesting. They could have been snatched them up.
With it, much to the chagrin of the rest of America, who's looking at this lawless insurrection, wondering why it hasn't been called that yet. But this reveals something deeper. Not only in these sanctuaries do you have a critical mass of mobs, these individuals are actually a drain on their own society. If they aren't running a business which fraudulently steals from its own legal residents by giving jobs to people who aren't even supposed to be in the country, these people are running around ramming vehicles and creating checkpoints and doing everything they can to disrupt the normal operation of their own town. And these are the same people that have been following ICE around all year long. First, they were in California during the riots in LA, then they moved to Portland, Oregon, then they set up shop in Chicago, and now here they are in Minnesota. You got the same people. It's like a world tour following ICE around as they go try to enforce the law.
And then they train their insurgents on how to block ICE vehicles, how to try to free arrestees, and then they dox ICE officers, they follow them home, they follow them to where they sleep at night. So again, it's a sophisticated insurgency involving a large number of radicalized, extremist, violent left-wing operators stoked by the Democrat Party. The resources and strategy is in place now, and you're going to see significant numbers. There's already been in recent days.
That's wild. But hey, at least the White House knows what they're dealing with. They know what's going on here. They know that this is an insurgency, as it is correctly being called by Stephen Miller. That's what these folks are. You don't drive around all day in your car hunting down the federal government if you're not part of some insurgency. You don't train an army of 30,000 people to go and do this as violently as possible while claiming that they're peaceful, trying to rip people out of vehicles who are on their way to a deportation flight and not be part of some insurgency. This is an uprising. That's exactly what it is. These are people who are at war with America itself. And people like Tim Walz thought they could ride that wave. And then Trump was like, hey, listen, buddy, got this thing called the Insurrection Act. You better start working with us. And he said, oh.
Right, the same they try to put it on him.
Now Bill O'Reilly hosted the
Yeah, put it on them. Flip it. Flip.
Where Fry runs.
Liar.
If you
Thanks for joining in.
And I say you in a general sense, to allow states and cities
Jenna.
to
Thanks for
not
joining in, Jenna.
enforce federal law, you don't have a country. It goes. Okay? Everybody should understand. So then why is Trump backing down?
He didn't back down.
He's not backing down.
That's an oxymoron, right? Train observers.
Why would you say he was backing down? Do you want a CNN contract?
Look, there's still 2,000 agents who are sticking around in Minnesota. And Bill O'Reilly, he's right. If you do not allow federal law to be enforced, you don't have a country, at least not in Minnesota. And that's why the place is falling apart. We got businesses that have built themselves on a foundation of illegal immigration. Now they wonder why they don't have any customers. Now they wonder why they don't have any workers. And they're complaining that it's ICE's fault somehow for enforcing federal law and getting people in America who do not have permission to be here out. But here's how the mobs are taking things to their own local government. These checkpoints that are out on the streets, these aren't a bunch of people that are just crazy. No, they're doing something very deliberate. What they're doing is they are usurping the power.
How they gonna block ICE? What is this?
Structure in place in Minnesota, and that would be the traffic system. They've got their own people out there making sure that they know who's who, checking who they are in their vehicles, reading their
They're doing the
license
same
plates,
thing ICE is
their
doing.
database, making sure that everybody who drives down the street is an approved member of the right team. You see, that's what's going on. And yes, the local police come and dismantle these checkpoints,
You're
but then they
supposed
just
to.
get set up somewhere else. These people aren't put in jail. This is allowed because people like Governor Walz are trapped in their mansion with these people clamoring at the gates trying to get rid of them. The whole thing is an insurgency. It is a left field socialist takeover of this country.
Thank you, guys.
Even the most radical politicians in our country are having a tough time getting ahead of because the mobs are headed for the deep end and everybody knows it. That's what I think anyways. What do you think? I will see you in the next video.
This will be the last video for the day. I'll be back tomorrow. But let's see. Where we at? Where we at? Let's do that first. There we go.
About being racist. If you can't get identification, then that's on you. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be voting if you can't get identification. It's not hard to do.
That wasn't Fox News I was watching.
Let's talk about this whole thing of
Jenna.
Voter ID being racist. I thought that we already concluded that this was not a racist thing to do. I thought we already went past this. We've already
January
tackled
6th.
this beast. We've already climbed this mountain.
Okay.
Here we are yet again, 2026 now. Many years later, still having the same issue with voter identification somehow being racist. It is racist to think that people can't get voter ID in this country. And guess what? If you can't get identification, then that's on you. I don't know what to tell you.
Don't go vote.
Maybe you shouldn't be voting if you can't get identification. It's not hard to do.
Nope.
If you're able to reach out and get government assistance programs and things of this nature, you're able to get ID as well. And you're able to vote, you're able to do all of that. If you can engage in any kind of way with the government programs, with the
Thank
city
you, thank
at all,
you.
or wherever you live at, if you're able to engage at all with the outside world, then you're able to get identification. It's not racist to say that. Now, this is from 2022. I just want to show this because those who say that voter identification is
Right, no ID, no vote.
with this.
This is something that we've been seeing across the country. As you know, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New Orleans, just a few of the cities who've already had these vaccine mandates in place. Here in Chicago, as you mentioned, as well as Philadelphia, those mandates take place today. And so
Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you.
Anyone aged 5 years and older must show proof of being fully vaccinated, that vaccination card. Then if you're 16 years and older, you have to have a photo ID to accompany that vaccination card.
Vaccine passport, this and vaccine passport, that was fine, right? To go eat food, you had to show your papers. You had to show.
Right, I couldn't go to a club out in Chicago. I had to show a vaccine passport to go to a club. We didn't go, of course. I'm like, F that. It makes no sense. Same thing to these movie theaters. Even some of these churches. I'm like, what is going on? If you in church, you already know you healed by the blood of Jesus. Let's continue. That's crazy.
Some kind of shit to get into that particular setting. But to vote, a very important right that you have, your civic right, your duty, can't be compromised if there's no identification required. You go to the polls, say, hey, I want to vote. Sorry, Ms. Loki, you already voted. Already voted. That's called fraud. So this is Lauren Underwood, House Rep Lauren Underwood. She says that voter ID laws.
Wow, Sean, that's crazy.
Women's right to vote.
In New York,
Trying
huh?
to make it harder for you to vote. Let me tell you how. The Save America Act would require your passport or your birth certificate to match your current name in order to be able to vote. If y'all got married and changed your name, your birth certificate would not match your current name. Nearly 69.
Of course, your birth certificate is not going to match your married name. Why are they playing around, man? It takes no more like maybe 5 minutes, maybe the max 20 minutes to get your stuff. Me and my wife got married. She changed her name with no problem. Why do these people gaslighting? She should know better. And this is Black History Month. So Black people can't get no IDs. We got iPhones, half of them on Section 8. And on Snap. But we can't get no ID. Especially Minnesota, what, 80% of them on welfare? I'm pretty sure they all got their IDs to get their stuff they got going on out there.
A million women in America have a birth certificate that does not match their current name, and therefore 69 million American women would no longer be eligible to vote.
You can fix that with no problem. It ain't that difficult for you to do. You can most certainly fix that. It's easy. Okay, ain't nobody trying to take right to vote away. Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good idea for some people to have their votes stripped away, to have their rights stripped away. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good idea, but that's not what's being proposed. Yeah, that's not really going to be a thing. You'll be able to vote as.
Oh, it's free in Alaska, Philly? Okay, man. That's what's up.
We want everybody to be able to.
Ours cost like $30.
Boom.
Well, $60 for, I think, for the
So here's my question: when you go to
that federal ID, something like that, I think it's like $60.
You just present your ID with a different name on it.
Real ID, they call it.
If that's the case, then that would have already been a thing.
These guys say that the Save America Act is needed to prevent undocumented immigrants from voting, but y'all already know that that is not a thing.
Oh, it's not really a thing that illegal aliens are voting? Okay.
The jury just convicted a woman in Massachusetts of voter fraud. We're talking about a 59-year-old illegal immigrant who's been in the country for years, stole someone else's identity, and then voted in the 2024 presidential election. Take a look at this photo here. This is Lina Maria Arovio Hernandez.
Okay,
in this picture, you can see
okay.
Martha wearing that I voted sticker that we all get when we go to cast our ballot.
Wearing the sticker.
Yeah, the price is the same. Okay.
Fraud, it's okay. I voted. Yay. That's crazy. That is totally crazy. Another example of what I'm talking about. 3,000 illegal aliens in Alabama were registered to vote, but they're here illegally.
3,000 registered voters in Alabama just got booted from the state voter rolls. That's after the Secretary of State, Wes Allen, ordered the removal of all
for 6
non-citizens
years.
who were
Okay.
registered. But how did non-citizens get registered in the first place?
Now, let me correct myself. A non-citizen may not be an illegal alien, but at last I checked, you had to be a citizen to vote. Last I checked. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right. If you can vote as a non-citizen, that's news to me.
Yeah, Margo, when I asked Secretary Allen how these people got registered to vote in the first place, he couldn't give me a clear answer just yet, saying it was still being investigated. But when he gave me a breakdown of how many there were in each county, the numbers were glaring. This is a list from Secretary of State Wes Allen of how many non-citizens were registered to vote in our counties. The state found 3,251 people, 742
5 years.
of them
Okay.
from North Alabama.
We got the information. We cross-checked it against our centralized data file here in the state of Alabama and found those 3,200 individuals.
The information he's talking about are people with alien registration numbers. Those are issued to immigrants who intend to live in this country permanently and have already applied for a green card. However, you're not eligible to vote with just an alien identification number.
So, you said it right there. Okay, they're trying to go do things the right way. Okay, they're trying to become legal. That's good. That's fantastic. Okay, now we got to wait until you actually become legal and become a citizen to vote. Okay, so somebody going to say it's like, paperwork issued is a mistake. Okay, but mistake or no mistake, it shouldn't be there, because if they actually go to try and vote, they probably be able to do it. Although legally, you cannot do that if you're here as a non-citizen. You got to be a citizen in this country to vote. So I wonder how many voter rolls are like that all over the country. How many illegal aliens, non-citizens are in the country voting? Now, I saw a picture. You guys may have seen this. It's like a heat map. It's an ICE heat map compared to the 2024 presidential election. So where do you think the hot spots will be for ICE activity? So here we go. You can see at the top.
It's a cash grab.
ICE activity, current ICE
Well, the price of it is.
And then at the bottom, that is the 2024 election results. And we see the hot spots. We see the whole Northeast corridor, DC on up to New York and even Maine, a little bit of Maine.
Right.
That whole thing right there, this fire truck red, and you can see how blue it is. Right here, that's going to be Chicago, and even over into Michigan and all of that, but mostly in Chicago, right here, and in Wisconsin too. But then right here, look at those two big dots. That's going to be Minneapolis, aka Somalia. Then over here, Texas, of course, you got the border. Okay, the border's going to be hot right there. Phoenix, like right here, in this little dot. Okay, not too much in Vegas. Not too much in Vegas. That's a red place. But then you got California, Los Angeles, big. It's like San Francisco right here, a little bit of that right there. And then up here, you got, what's that, like Seattle, Washington, or Portland, Oregon, that area right up there.
Somebody said the ICE agents should be at the election polls. Why not? Get all of them. Voter integrity is a must. They say what 2020 was a stolen. A lot of documents out there saying that it was stolen. I don't know. I'm gonna do some research on that and see. But if it was, we need our IDs. Period.
Well, everybody knew that's pretty much what it would be. Now, here's my question. How many illegal aliens voted in these elections? Now, these are blue places, so it may not have changed the election in those places. But it's a little question. How many illegal aliens voted in those places?
Right.
Okay, that's what I want to know. That's my question. But let's watch this machine, this Android over here, talk about the voter ID laws.
Requiring basic ID in order to vote is really popular. A Pew poll from a few months ago showed 83% of Americans, including 71% of your fellow Democrats, support requiring an ID to vote. Why are they wrong?
I haven't said that they're wrong. We know that states are the ones who are empowered to conduct elections, and every state should be allowed to decide the best way to proceed to ensure that there's a free and fair election. Here in New York, there are, in fact, voter identification requirements. The question is that what Republicans are trying to do is to engage in clear and blatant voter suppression. They know that if there's a free and fair election in November, they're going to lose. In fact, Republicans have been losing every single election since Donald Trump was sworn in January of last year, including
because y'all allow the lockdown,
in Texas, and of course
the shutdown. The shutdown scared everybody.
Up and down the ballot. Okay, just not answering questions. Just trying to say that Trump was a loser. He's going to keep on losing. Okay. Y'all said that before Trump got elected in 2016. Y'all said it in 2020. Y'all did the funny stuff for the election. See, in 2020, y'all did the election stuff, and you're trying to prevent us from preventing y'all from doing that same play again, because that's what y'all did. Y'all went right up against the law, maybe a little bit beyond it, to cheat. We're onto the games. We're onto the tricks. Can't gaslight us, Mr. Android Lizard Man. You can't do that anymore. We're onto you. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut off all of that, the fake IDs, the ballot harvesting, and, fraudulent votes, forfeit insurance. We're going to cut off all of that stuff, bro. And you are mad. That's why you're talking like this. Hey, it's totally fine. We'll be back in power yet again. It's going to be okay. Now, this is going to be a throwback. It's going to be Kamala. Remember Kamala when she was trying to talk about voter ID? And look, I don't want to see Kamala run for anything else ever in my life. We all knew she was not ready. We know her brain is on 0% battery right now. But again, this is a throwback clip to her trying to explain that voter ID is racist. Check it out.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you support? I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
All right, there we go. So the brilliant, the one and only, the magnificent Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen, back in the campaign days, trying to explain that, voter ID, you know, you got to prove who you are, and you prove who you are. Sometimes you can't prove who you are. Okay, there we go. Hey, come on, man.
I'm gonna play this right quick. I'm gonna leave.
Friend who had bring forth a friend who has well, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment, while his success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, it gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he is a serious person who's an effective builder of building with a builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump. Bring forth
Yep. Hate to leave, but I'm ending with that note. Condolences to his family. Anybody family passed away. Condolences to them. I'll be back tomorrow morning, Thursday, maybe Saturday. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys hit the notification, hit all. Thank you so much. God bless.